Hey everybody, we've been talking about right triangles, and with right triangles we use something called the Pythagorean Theorem. And our formula for that is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now we found out where the Pythagorean Theorem comes from because we talked about the areas of the squares and the triangle and all those things, but now we need to apply that to everyday life. So if we look at this problem we have right here, a 45-foot ladder is leaning against the top of a building. The bottom of the ladder is 27 feet from the building. How tall is the building? So let's look at this problem one more time. We have a 45-foot ladder, and it's leaning against the top of the building. So if I draw a building, because that's what we're talking about, if I draw a building right here, we've got a ladder leaning up against it. So I don't know if you've ever seen a ladder, but typically it looks something like that. Comes off the side. And so it's leaning off the top of the building. The bottom of the ladder is 27 feet from the building. So the bottom of the ladder would be 27 feet from right here. So this is the section of the problem we're talking about. So they're saying that this is 27 feet. They said our ladder was 45 feet long. And our question is, how tall is the building? Well, a right angle would be formed with the building and where the ground and the building meet. So that means straight across from here is going to be our hypotenuse. So if I use a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I'm going to be looking for a what? If you thought, I'm looking for a leg, you're completely and 100% correct. We are looking for a leg. So I have one leg, is 27, so we're going to square 27. We're going to add it to b squared, and then we're going to have our hypotenuse, which is 45, and we're going to square it. So if I square 27, 27 squared is 729. I don't know what b squared is, but I know that 45 squared gives me 2,025. Now, I need to figure out what b squared is, and then ultimately find out what b is. So if I'm going to do that, I have to subtract the length or the square of my leg from my hypotenuse in order to find the length of the remaining leg. So I'm left with b squared here, and if I say 2,025 minus 729, I get 1,296. But now, we know that this is not our side length. This is the square of the hypotenuse. Or, I'm sorry, not the square of the hypotenuse, the square of the leg. So, in order to find the length of the leg, I need to take the square root of both sides. So, the square root of 1,296 is 36. So, the height of my building, because that's what we're looking for, how tall is the building? The building is 36 feet tall. That would be your final answer. Alright? So let's see what you can do with this next one. If Luke hikes 9 miles west and then 40 miles north, how far will he be from his starting point? West, north, all kinds of things going on here. So let's look at a compass. You've seen these in social studies. If we have north, south, east, and west, he's hiking 9 miles west, so that means he's going to go left 9 miles. So here's where we got that. And 40 miles north, so he went left, and then he went north 40 miles. They want to know what the distance is from this point to where he got, from the starting point to where he got 40 miles away. So we're looking for this distance in red. Now a right angle was formed when these two sides met. So what are we looking for here? I'd say we're looking for our hypotenuse. So we can use Pythagorean Theorem to figure this out. I want you guys to take a minute, figure it out, and see what you get. I'm going to do it all at the same time. We'll see if our answers match. Okay, let's see if we did the same thing. I wrote down my formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I knew that I labeled a as being 40 and b as being 9. Now, you could have swapped those and said that your a was actually 9, which would have made your b 40. So we squared 40 and we squared 9, and I got 1600 plus 81 equals c squared. I added those together and got 1681. And now, this is not the length of my hypotenuse. This is the square of my hypotenuse, so I need to take the square root. When I take the square root, I find that this is 41. So that means Luke is 41 miles from his starting point. Alright, the next one is about baseball. Now this is real life baseball right here. Because the bases in baseball are 90 feet apart. If you were to walk from home plate to second base, walking straight through the pitcher's mound, so looking at your picture, if you walked this path right here, in orange, how many feet would you walk? So if we know that the bases, they say, are 90 feet apart, that means that from home plate to first is 90 feet. And from first to second is 90 feet. And from second to third would be 90 feet. And from third to home is 90 feet. But they want to know the distance across the middle of the field. How many right triangles do you have that you could work with here? I see 2, personally. I don't know about you, but I see 2 of them. So, your right angles are formed at the corners of the field. So that means that, are we looking for a hypotenuse, or are we looking for legs? If you think we're looking for legs, you are wrong. We're looking for the hypotenuse, because the hypotenuse is the thing that we don't know. That is the path down the middle of the field. So if we use a squared plus b squared plus c, I'm sorry, not plus, equals c squared, our legs are going to be the base path. So that would be a and b. You could have used the other 2 on the other side. That would have been fine as well. So using what I know, I'm going to have 90 squared plus 90 squared equals c squared. Well, if I square 90, I'm going to have 8100 plus 8100 equals c squared. Then I'm going to add them together, right? So I get 8100 plus 8100 should give me 16,200. Now that's not how many feet it is from home to second base. We have to take the square root of this number, and it'll give us approximately 127.3. When I took the square root in my calculator of 16,200, I got 127.279 and a few other numbers behind it. The 7 makes the 2 round up to a 3. So I would say that the distance between home plate and second base is 127.3 feet. So now that we've explored some of these problems, I want you guys to work some on your own. On the back of your note-taking guide, you'll find 5 examples. Next to each example, you guys will find a QR code. once you've worked the problem, you can use that QR code to check your answers.